Welcome back to Zip My Motivation Podcast, where we inspire, empower, and uplift. I am Demasha K, better known as Zip My Motivation. I am your host for today. And today we're going to dive into a topic that can slightly steal our joy. Bitterness is something that we've all experienced at some point in our life, but we have to learn to not allow bitterness to control us. We have to learn to control the bitterness. So we're going to tap into different things about bitterness, such as how it affects us, how important it is to let bitter go, and how to overcome it to live fearless, sweet lives. Because y'all know I like to be sweet. So fearless, sweet lives. Go ahead and grab your cup of coffee, grab your cup of tea. Perhaps you have some Takaya Divine tea. Shout out to 101.5 Indie Radio for allowing me to be their motivational host. So tap into that station also every Tuesday at 11 and 6 p.m. Indulge in some of the other shows that are on there too, because there are some great shows that are on there. So, first, let's talk about bitterness. Like I said, we've all experienced bitterness at some point in our life. Some point in our life, we experience this overwhelming upset. But where does this come from? Where does bitter come from? Bitter is basically unresolved anger. I'm always one like, whenever you upset, you need to handle it right there. Like, you need to go ahead and say whatever it is that you need to say. Calm yourself down. Calm yourself down. Because like when you angry, you cannot get out what you really feel. You can't get it out. So calm yourself and then go ahead and resolve that. Because I tell people all the time, y'all be at home mad, angry, upset, holding all of this stuff inside. And them people at home knocked out. They don't even know that you upset because they like they over it. But when you're upset, it's good to go ahead and get into it, because you don't want that seed of bitterness to start taking over your heart, taking over your mind. You feeling disappointed, you can't sleep, you tossing and turning, blah blah blah. You doing all of the stuff, and people is resting, they living their lives like nothing ever happened. Because what happens is over time, that seed turns into a tree. So now everything that comes into your life makes you feel that bitter moment all over again. I don't know if y'all ever heard when people say when something happens, it's like opening up a new scab or opening up that same scab that happened. That's why it's important to learn what bitterness is. Maybe your bitterness comes from like someone betraying you, because that can happen too. Like sometimes we feel betrayed. So now we bitter, and we bitter with everybody. Maybe your bitterness came from work. People being over, like you being overlooked, people getting promotions and you not getting promoted, and you feel like you putting the work in. These all are valid experiences, and they have happened to all of us at some point in time. But tonight we are going to learn where it comes from. Bitterness is not just an emotion, right? It's not just something like physical. Like studies show that bitterness is a chronic lead to stress. Yep, I said it. So you out here talking about you stressed out. And when I ask people, I'm like, what are you stressed out about? And they're like, I don't know, I'm just stressed out. Okay, well, what are you stressed out about? I don't know, I'm stressed out. A lot of times my mind reverts to bitterness. And I always ask them, so what is it that you have inside of you that you haven't healed from? Because a lot of times we will hold on to this thing and we'll start getting high blood pressure. Now we got a weak immune system. Now it's like our leg hurting, our back hurting. And a lot of times you'll carry stress like in your shoulders, you'll carry stress in your hips, you'll carry stress in your back. But when you start letting that thing go, all of a sudden you're like, dang, my shoulder, ugh, my shoulder ain't hurt in a long time. My back ain't hurt in a long time. That's because you got rid of that bitterness. You let that bitterness go. And so we're going to implement how bitterness is like a mindset. It's a mindset. It's something that you have set your mind on. So now that thing is controlling your body, controlling your spirit, controlling your energy. All right. So let's understand first. Understand that bitterness thrives. It thrives in comparison, expectations that haven't been met, and unforgiveness. And when I'm talking about comparison, right? And this is like the biggest comparison that we have out here today is social media. Social media is like you could be anybody that you want to be on social media. Like you literally can be anybody that you want to be on social media. So if you are like, we're gonna just say, if you homeless, but you got 7 good outfits, right? You can get on social media, put them 7 good outfits on, look real nice, look, put a hat on for men, women put your hair in a ponytail, put on a little lip gloss, men, wash your face really good and brush your teeth up real good, and you can look like you got money. And then everybody on there, you got 100, 600, 700 likes on your on your page, and then you like, oh man, I'm the bomb, I'm the bomb. But then it's that one person who like, I don't like them. They think they all that. They think this and they think that and this, that, and the other. And they got stuff I don't have. And I want to live my life like that. But you have no clue that them people sleeping in their car every night. Like you have no clue. This is why I tell people, like, when you're watching social media, like you got to take social media with a grain of salt because you don't know if that's those people real life. Big is like when people in a relationship and you see people on there with their cute pajamas on. I mean, me too. I'll be like, dang, they so cute. I want somebody to put on cute pajamas with. Like you want to do that. I want somebody to go on a vacation with. Like you start comparing yourself to what somebody else has. We cannot allow others to control how we feel. We don't know because sometimes their life might be their life, but we don't know what they did to get that life or if that life is true. Because a lot of times people will look at you and they'll say, like, you got it made, like you got a nice car, you got a nice apartment or a house or whatever you have, all this nice stuff, right? And they don't know that you broke every nail down to the skin, the white meat, no nail on there. Now you got little nubs. They don't know that you stayed up night after night after night for 5, 10, 15 years crying and just pleading and manifesting and not eating. They don't know what the struggle was to get there. So that's why comparison is like, don't compare yourself to nobody. Be yourself because you don't really know what is happening. You don't know what somebody else has. You don't know what they went through to get that. You don't even know if it's true, especially if you see it on social media. Especially if you see it on social media. Another one is unmet expectations. And I'm going to breathe, right? I'm going to breathe because expectations are to me like underwear. You got 3 different places to put a body part at, right? You got a leg, and you got the body. You don't know how expectations going to turn out because sometimes you end up putting your body in where the leg go. You don't know how expectations are going to turn out. When you don't know, it's okay if things go wrong. Because I always tell people, like, when something goes wrong, like they have these high expectations of, for instance, kids will be like, oh, we getting ready to go have fun. And then something happens and mama like, well, we can't do it today. Now the kid's upset. Now they crying and they just, but you never know what would have happened had you gone out. You would never know what you would have missed going out. So expectations are kind of like, you can't expect anybody to do something because you never know what's the background of how they're going to be able to do what they're doing. You can't expect something to go the way that you want it to go all the time because that's not reality. I always talk about wants because we all have a lot of wants. We have a lot of wants. A lot of wants. We want this, we want that, we want that. We want everything to go our way. We want the mountains to be this high and we want to win the lottery. And then we want this and we want that. And then when stuff don't happen, we get so down. We get bitter. We get very bitter because stuff didn't go my way. Now, no, maybe that's not the way that it needed to go. Maybe that's not the force that needed to happen. It's okay sometimes if things don't go your way. Sometimes you have to change your perspective about your expectations. Is this really gonna happen? Right now, I'm going through this thing at my full-time job, and I'm just feeling like the expectation's too high. What they wanting, we not gonna be able to achieve that. Not right now, not with faulty computers, not with faulty systems. We just not gonna be able to achieve it. So at some point, somebody has to think consciously and say, wait a minute, I gotta I gotta give them a break. I gotta, like I gotta do something else. Like I gotta do something else. This is not gonna work for them. And that's how you have to think about expectations because your expectations may be at the top. And it's okay to have high expectations, but when they come down, don't create that bitterness. Think in another mindset is, okay, well, it didn't happen, but that doesn't mean it's not going to ever happen. Well, it didn't happen the way that I want to, but there's always another avenue I can take to get to where I want to go. Because when you start getting into that bitterness, you start getting blinded. And then another big one is unforgiveness. Unforgiveness. And I kind of talked about this when it comes to comparison. Them people at home sleep. You mad, you holding on to resentment, you feeling this bitter, you mad because everything didn't go your way, you pouting, you throwing temper tantrums, you sitting in the bed and you playing all these different scenarios over in your mind, and them people is asleep. They are asleep. Sometimes with forgiveness, you have to understand that you're not going to always get an apology because some people are not mature enough to know what apologizing doing does. And so you have to go back to my video where I talked about how important it is to learn to say, I apologize and I'm sorry, and what it does to the brain and what it does to the body. Some people are not at that maturity level. So they're not going to say, I apologize. They're not going to say, I'm sorry. They're not going to say, I was wrong. So you have to go deep within yourself and you have to decipher, okay, this the situation that happened. This is what happened. What could I have done better in this situation? Because you can only control you. You can't control them. You can only control you. What could I do better in this situation? How could I not get myself into this situation again? And then you have to forgive. And sometimes you could do stuff like, right, I always tell people, like, if you upset with somebody and they hurt you and they did something to you, write them a letter. Send them a long text. They may read it, they may not read it. They may not say nothing and they may come back with something else. But now you're giving them their mess. You're telling them, I did not like it when you did this to me. And this hurt me and this frustrated me and this upset me. And then sometimes people will come back with, you know what? I didn't realize that you felt that way. I apologize. Because sometimes I feel like some of us be holding unforgiveness where people are ready to say, I apologize, but they don't know. Because everybody's not raised the same. And so perceptions are not the same. Understanding is not the same until you put it in someone's face. Now, if they're mature, they're going to apologize. And then guess what? You're going to go to sleep soundly and you're going to forgive them and you're not going to hold on to that bitterness. And if they don't, you're going to know that I said what I needed to say. I gave them that emotion, that hurt, that pain, that frustration, that bitterness. I gave it to them. Now they have to carry it because now it's no longer within me. And you got to talk to yourself. Tell yourself, stop festering those old feelings inside. So now that we went through the bitterness part kind of quickly, but go back and watch this video a couple of times. We're going to talk about releasing it. Releasing bitterness is not easy. And I promise you that it's not easy. It's no easy fix to releasing and letting go of bitterness. But it's one of the most freeing things when you release bitterness, when you no longer upset about something, when you say, you know what it is. I'm done with it. I'm releasing it. I'm giving it back to them. Oh my goodness. It's like, what's that one song used to be like, oh man, I can't think of the commercial right now, but it was like, something like that. That's how it feel. Feel like bliss. Oh, what was the thing? Recolor. I don't know. That used to be so calming to me when I was a kid. So when you recolor, you feel good. You feel good. You feel good about who you are. So the first step, though, in releasing bitterness is acknowledgement. It's the first step. Admitting that I'm bitter. It's hard. It's hard to look yourself in the mirror, and say, I'm bitter. I'm angry. I'm not a nice person because I went through whatever. It is hard to do that. But you could take a moment, breathe it in, and I am bitter. I am upset. They did hurt me. They did frustrate me. They did knock the wind out of me. Allow yourself to say those emotions out loud. It's something different about hearing what you're saying. And I'm not saying say it in your mind. I'm saying say it out loud. I'm bitter. I'm upset. I'm angry. Because when you start saying it, like it's almost like you're talking to yourself because you literally are talking to yourself. But when you start talking to yourself out loud and it starts registering in your brain, it's like now you're looking for the solution. You're looking for the solution to not being angry, not being bitter, not being frustrated anymore, just releasing that thing and forgive. Forgive. It's about exercising the wrong. It's about releasing yourself from the grip. Like I said, write a letter. Send a letter to them. You hurt me. Send them a text message because I don't think people send letters anymore. But send a text message. Send that message. Write it all out. And sometimes when you write it all out or you voice it all out or you talk it all out and then you send it, it's the most freeing thing. Definitely one of the things that I do. When somebody upset me, they finna get a message. And they gonna hear about why they hurt me, how I was hurt. And guess what? I ain't dealing with them no more because now I'm sleeping. Now you have to either listen to it and read it and know like that thing bothered me. That hurt me. Because some people are not easy to talk to because they don't listen. So when you know a person is not going to apologize to you, they're probably not going to listen to you. Because if they're not mature enough to apologize for their wrong, they're not mature enough to listen. So understand that sometimes they might not say nothing. They might tell you, I don't care if I hurt you. I don't care if you upset. Guess what? You done got to release though. You done say it every way you feel because you can't make someone understand, but you can give them back their stuff and let it go. And then shift your focus. Replace your bitterness with gratitude. Replace that bitterness with something like every day, write down something that is good in your life, something that you are happy for, something that that bitterness taught you, something that it taught you. Because every time you're bitter in a situation, it teaches you something. It teaches, excuse me, it teaches you something. So write it down. This has taught me to um, stay away from immature people. I know lately I've been on this kick. I heard this story the other day on social media. I was listening to, I can't remember who was talking. It was a singer or something, and she was talking about J. Cole, and she was saying that her and another person were indulging in some kind of gossipy conversation. Excuse me. They were indulging in some kind of gossipy conversation or a conversation that was like very low vibrational. And they said that J. Cole walked in, he sat for a minute and he listened to like he was kind of listening to what the conversation was about, kind of just maybe trying to see like what's going on in here. And they said after a minute, he got up and he just walked out. He didn't try to change what they was talking about. He didn't try to interject or save the person or say who y'all talking about. He just walked out. So I've been on this kick lately that I'm just cutting off anything that's negative. If you if your first interaction with me is negative, it's no more. It's no more. And sometimes you have to be that way. Sometimes you have to know that listen, if we get into this one conflict the first time, that means that we need distance already. And I don't even know you. I just met you. But we need distance because that's going to stop me from getting into a bitter mode. That's going to stop me from getting into a frustrated mode because I have confrontation with you already in the beginning. So maybe another time we could revisit friendship or this acquaintance or whatever the case may be. But right now, you're not on my level of vibration. And I'm vibrating high. So I'm not trying to vibrate at a lower frequency. Remember, healing is a process, not a one time event that's going to happen. It's a process. So you have to surround yourself with people. And I don't want to say like minded, I want to say unique, like minded people, because they may have things that are similar to you, but they should be able to impart something teachable, and you should be imparting something teachable to them. I always talk about energy exchanging because it's important to exchange positive energy. There has to be an exchange. You do something for me, I do something for you. We come together. And then make sure that when you're trying to release this bitterness, just know, like, you may say everything you have to say, and then you may think of something else that really hurts you. And you may feel like, well, I already said what I had to say. I can't go back. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Sometimes I feel like I done said all I have to say, and then I go back like, you know what? And you know what else? And they probably like, well, I already said I'm sorry. I know you said you're sorry, but I have to get this off my chest so that I can feel better, so that I can release what's going on inside of me. I want to share a quick story though. I want to share a story. Um, there was a time in my own life that I festered some bitterness where someone had did something to me and I was so upset. I think I was upset for probably like a year. And I remember I was upset for this year because I never could get to the point to where I told this person what I felt or what I thought. I could never get to that point. But when I did get that point, it was explosive. And it shouldn't have exploded like that. I should have been able to display my feelings much better than that. But at the point I was immature. But they had hurt me and I wanted to hurt them. So I said every hurtful thing in the book. And then I was like, I feel better. I feel better. But I didn't feel better. And that's what I'm saying. Like when you get ready to release this in a positive way. Release it in a way where people can understand if they want to. Because sometimes we think that it's always the people that we think won't apologize that will. And it's always the people we think that will apologize that won't. It's kind of funny like that. One of my favorite quotes from Maya Angelou is bitterness is like cancer. It eats up the host, but anger is like fire. It burns it all clean. So what that means to me is when you're angry, allow that anger to fuel, but use that anger to release. I'm upset. I'm mad. You hurt me. You did something to me. If that person is gone who didn't hurt that who hurt you, because sometimes people carry bitterness for years. Write a letter, put it in a bottle, put it in the ocean. Glass bottle. glass bottle. Write a note, put it on a balloon, let the balloon up. Get out and sit there and cry and snot bubble and this and send it up. And send it up. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Bitterness does not have to define who you are. You have power to choose to forgive, to show gratitude, to heal. I'm going to say that again. You have the power to heal because you do. You have the power to do these things, but it's up to you. It's up to you what you want to do. I'm Zip My Motivation. Thank you all for joining me in this short podcast about bitterness because it's important. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone else who might need it, who might need to hear it. Don't forget to check out Zip My Motivation podcast, all of my other podcasts. Check out 101.5 Indie Radio. Listen to my show every Tuesday at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. Check out my Takaya Divine Tea Company for more inspiration. Until next time, stay motivated, stay sweet, and keep moving.